here we are with our first episode of Birds and Beers. Holy shit. We've been talking about this, Dave, my brother Dave here, for how long? God, we can't remember.
I drink too much beer, I don't remember.
Yeah, well, that's why we have the Birds and Beers podcast. That's our two favorite things, our Philadelphia Eagles and our fucking beer. Cheers.
Cheers.
Cheers, Vinny. So our friend Vinny here, he's visiting from Taiwan, but he's really a Pennsylvania native. We love him.
Yep.
All 160 pounds, 6'7" of them. So we started this podcast. We were like, you know, what do we want to talk about? Of course, the Eagles. Go Birds. And beer, because we love beer. So the first episode here we have right here in Montgomery County, Ring the Bell American Lager by our friends at Country Brewing. So what do you think?
See.
Tastes like freedom.
It sucks. No. We can't say it sucks. They're a local beer, man.
No. Even if it sucks, it's delicious.
Yeah, you know. So. We'll edit that out in the post-production.
All right, well, here. So it's at 2 minutes. Write that down. 2 minutes. Do you have a pen? So 2 minutes, we'll cut that. All right, so the first beer of our series, inaugural episode, is a Ring the Bell Lager from Country Brewing right here in Montco.
Montgomery County.
Let's check it out.
A little tart, a little different. Not what I'm used to, but
I like it.
Country Brewing does have one of my favorite.
It's easy drinking.
Yeah.
4.8% easy. I can see myself pounding these all night.
Especially since we're here after the last Eagles preseason game. Thank God.
I don't even know why they bothered televising those things.
Yeah, it's like those games you go to and you want to give your kids their Eagles experience. They can't afford a regular season game.
Yeah, Andrew's first will be
preseason
game number 3.
Preseason Phillies, because I'm not sure the Eagles are. You can't bring a 7-year-old to an Eagles game. That's you might get a snowball bit to the back of the head or something. But,
not in August, dude.
Anyway, so
unless someone's bringing those shitty pastries, those snowball pastries.
Oh God, I hate those things. They're disgusting. If you're made by Tasty Cake, I apologize. But whatever. So as you may be able to tell here, we're watching this. You can't even talk. We're recording this after the Eagles' last preseason game, so obviously we're several hours deep drinking adult beverages. But man, it's been a long off season. Last time we saw.
All right, Tasty Cake, you're off the hook as hostess. Just had to do a quick
Our researchers looked it up, a.k.a. Dave, and his iPhone. God, it's been a long off season. Holy. Last time we saw our birds and
the best part about it being such a long off season, it was a short one because we played in February.
Yeah. But God, though, do we even want to rehash this?
We have to. We got to exercise the demons.
Yes. It's the only way. Last time we saw our birds in action, our real birds, not these guys wearing number like 67 as a linebacker. Our Jalen Hurts, our A.J. Brown, our Devontae Smith, and Hassan Reddick.
Everybody.
Last time we saw them in action, I'm still not over it. Still not over that fucking illegal contact call.
Holding.
Super Bowl 57.
That's the typical, I'm not mad, I'm just disappointed. That is the epitome of that saying. It's like, I'm not mad about it. They played a hell of a game. The whole entire...
They did.
Jalen killed
Hurts.
it. I don't know if it was broadcast where you were, if you got to watch it.
I had to wake up super early, but yeah.
Oh, that's right. That was morning beers for you.
I had to teach later, and I was having...
What time is 6 p.m. in Taiwan time?
6 a.m.
So
I woke up at 5:30.
Eggs and eggs for Vinny.
Yeah, I woke up at 5:30 on a Monday.
So you just went
needing to teach English later.
Just drunk as hell.
I had 1 beer and 6 wings from 7-Eleven.
That's the cool thing about teaching people who don't speak English. They can't tell you're slurring your words. You're drunk as hell and they just think you're speaking English. It's awesome.
teacher, you smell like Daddy when he's angry.
Too soon. Hey. We're off to a great start here. I love it. Yeah, so Super Bowl 57. Oh, God. Pour one out.
The one that got away.
But you know what, though? I'll put it this way. I remember where I was the day they fired Chip Kelly. And I was obviously happy because that 2015 season was a disaster, built upon a disaster. But I was happy they fired him, but at the same time, I was like...
Now what? Because he was supposed to be our next
He
guy
was the offensive genius, the guy that was going to revolutionize the NFL. And he did, but not the way we thought.
Not the way anybody thought, really.
But I remember thinking, like, he traded away LaShawn McCoy for a guy wearing a belly shirt. He cut Deshaun Jackson. He let Jeremy Maclin walk. Like, he just... That whole core of that team was just was gone. Mm-hmm. And we were left with... God, like... It really started to sink into my... I was sitting at home later that night going, like, this dude set us back for at least a decade.
Yeah, at least.
And it really started to dawn on me, like, dude, you're never going to see this team win a Super Bowl in your lifetime. Like,
and you were saying that at 30.
Yeah. I was saying that at
30 years old.
33 I was at the time. But, yeah, I was like, holy shit, dude, we're just never going to see this team win a Super Bowl. And I started to reflect, and, like, I was 11 months old when the Sixers won in '83. I was 26 when the Phillies won the World Series in '08. And God, I just wanted one Super Bowl before I died. And at that point, I was so low. I was like, it's just never going to happen. And then 2 years later, it did. Mm-hmm. And I thought we were playing with house money.
Out of fucking nowhere, too.
I thought we were playing with house money. Like, we get to the Super Bowl with Nick Foles as our quarterback, and yeah, we're just happy to be here. Like, I think we'll win. I think we have a good chance. But then that team just came out and we're firing on all cylinders. The Philly special, the Corey Clement play that set it up, the 4th and 1 to Zach Ertz that kept that game alive and for the Pats to taking the lead. Like,
just everything was just meshing. Like, even the timing. I remember the Ertz and Aguilar low 5 on the crossing routes.
Yeah,
that's mainly for timing purposes, but
yeah, but like it also kind of it demonstrated at least to us who were looking on the outside in. It demonstrated at least to us like we got this. Like those guys were. When we see the replay after the game where Nick Foles or somebody said to Nick Foles like they cannot stop us. I think it was Ertz. They cannot stop us, and he was like, no, they cannot. Like this is our fucking day. Like I've seen so many Super Bowls and like. One that comes to mind is the one from 2010, the Packers and Steelers, where there was so much had gone the Packers' way. You watch these games and sometimes it's just your day, and that was our day. Yeah. I'm like, holy crap! Like this is actually happening. Like, I didn't believe it until the clock hit 0 because we've been through so much as Eagles fans. But man, and then Brady gets that one last chance. He throws that one up, and Gronk is almost in position, and then the ball. I still see this in slow motion in my mind. Like
I think everybody does.
Yeah,
slow motion.
I see the ball up in the air, and I know it hit the ground, but in my mind it made this sound, even though it obviously didn't. But like, then the ball popped up into the air, and I think it was Danny Amendola or some random player like that who caught it off the balance. I was like, oh my God, like what if it didn't hit the ground? But it did, and we won. And there was the next year that Alshon dropped against the Saints, and then we came back down to earth, and had that 2019 season where Carson Wentz took that shot to the head, took him out of the game. Mm-hmm. 2020 was just a dumpster fire of a season. 2021 was like, is Nick the guy? Who is this dude with this weird shaved beard? And what is he doing? Who is this guy? He's like a fucking nerd. Like, then
not as much of a nerd as that Miami coach.
Adam Gase or
No, the current
Mike
one.
McDaniel.
Mike McDaniel.
You know, they're going to be a good team this year. But, like, Sirianni, like, he was such a dork that season. He was, like, trying too hard to, like, with the T-shirts and everything. Like, I love him now, but at the time I was like, who the fuck is this guy?
Jalen Hurts T-shirt.
Yeah. And they beat Dallas, and then we get our asses kicked by Dallas the next week. I'm like, what? Who is this guy with his? And he had that weird shaved beard, was like right on the jawline. It was shaved.
It's like it fucking shrunk in the dryer.
It was the kind of beard I would have had when I was like first old enough to grow facial hair. I'm like, who is this guy? Like,
grew on your cheeks, but not your neck yet.
Yeah. It's like, who is this guy? Like, God, what are we doing here? But you know, my point is, you just never know. And we got to the Super Bowl last year, and I think if you know. I think that nothing against the Chiefs because they're a great team. Two Super Bowls with the Chiefs after putting us through.
That's right. Andy Reid won 2 Super Bowls with the Chiefs, but it wasn't for like he just got there and suddenly it fell out of the sky and happened. He had his struggles there too in the playoffs.
That is true. Remember that game the first year against the Colts where he had like a 28-3 lead or whatever.
I think what happened to him is he just ended up with players that were too good to, no matter how boneheaded of clock management, because he still plagues that.
Well, yeah, I think
plagues him with that.
I think what happened, the best thing that ever happened to him was going to the Chiefs. He was saying the Colts
because we just played them today.
I think the best thing that happened to Andy Reid was going to Kansas City and not having full control over the team.
Yeah.
So it wasn't up to him to make boneheaded dread decisions anymore.
Mm-hmm. And him having, like I said, he had all those struggles before, but then he just ended up with players that were too good that were just naturally able to overcome the stupid clock management, stupid challenging a fucking penalty because he's angry. I don't think he did that.
I don't want to shit on
20 years, but
much,
yeah,
but I think it's relevant to the journey to winning Super Bowl.
He'll always be loved here in Philly.
Yeah, he's a great person. God, he's been through so much. He's been through so much. He put it this way: he would have been the struggles he went through would have broken a lesser man, but he put himself back together and he's reinvented his entire career. Props to him, but at the same time, we have to talk about his failures if you want to talk about why we're happy to have the team that we have. You know, 7 years ago or 6 years ago when they won the Super Bowl, the team we have now, it's relevant. You know,
yep.
But God, we may have lost that game to Tampa. We may have lost that game to Carolina in the NFC Championship game, but still, I would trade those 2 losses if it meant never having Chip fucking. Not, you know what? At the same time though, we have that butterfly effect with Chip Kelly.
Yeah.
If he's not here to fuck up the team, he doesn't cut Deshaun Jackson, doesn't trade LaShawn McCoy. He doesn't. We don't have freaking Byron Maxwell and Belly Shirt on the team. Howie wouldn't have had the trade capital.
Yeah, we won't trade away LaShawn McCoy because he bounces the run to the outside too much. We're not happy with that. So then we go and get DeMarco Murray. And where do we run him 95% of the time?
Yeah.
Out fucking side. No wonder he struggled here.
Yeah, but the point is, like, my point is
Chip Kelly's a fucking idiot.
Well, he is a fucking idiot, but the butterfly effect is real with him. Like, if he doesn't trade away all his assets, we don't bring in Byron Maxwell, we don't bring in fucking Kiko Belly Shirt Alonso. Those 2 players, especially, were how he used to move up to draft Carson Wentz. And,
yeah,
and even
for sure.
Even though Carson's tenure here ended bad, it put us, without Carson Wentz in 2017, we don't get home field advantage without the playoffs. And Nick struggled in that first game against Atlanta.
Everybody struggled, though. Atlanta struggled against.
Yeah, that's true.
And it was just so brutally cold that day.
It was so cold. We were at that game. It was cold.
It was awful. And
but
amazing at the same time because we were at an Eagles playoff game. And,
our first
which we weren't expecting.
I think if we're going to tell the story of where we are today, this is what I love. I'm also a history nerd. And I stole this line from Mr. Feeney from Boy Meets World, based in Philadelphia.
Great show.
where Corey Matthews was like, "Why do I have to learn about history or whatever?" And Mr. Feeney said something like, "Learning where you come from helps you decide where you wish to go." That's fucking true.
Yeah.
Whether it's history, whether it's fucking football.
Yeah.
The story of how we got to our first Super Bowl and how we got to our second Super Bowl, well, fourth overall, is important.
But in recent history, second. So,
yeah,
for the sake of conversation,
and why we are so grateful to have the team that we have right now is because we lived through Super Bowl 39. We lived through those 3 NFC Championship games that we lost. We lived through that playoff, the Chip Kelly era. We losing that game against the Saints.
Years ago, and probably still present day, people talk about the championship game loss hangover, where I think this is the first year that anybody's not expecting a loss hangover to happen. Everybody's expecting that this team is too fucking talented.
And we thought the same thing coming from
to not be successful this year.
And that's where it gets a little bit scary, too. Because we thought, I remember you and I having this conversation after Super Bowl 39. We lost by 3 points to the Patriots. And I remember we were talking about, like, let's get a joint bank account. We're going to put money in every month. Because next year we're going back to the Super Bowl. There was no doubt in our mind we were going back to the Super Bowl. And then look what happened. There was the whole T.O. debacle. There was...
We had none of that nonsense. That was part of the reason why that team wasn't cohesive enough to be successful. Was because of the off-season drama, which we had none of it. We had nothing but positives. As much as it sucked to lose that Super Bowl, I wasn't devastated about it because it's like, yeah, we lost, but our team's here.
Losing the way we did hurt more than the loss itself. Because they hadn't called a mid... I think the only penalties they called the entire game was like false starts, offsides.
The stuff they had
whatever. Yeah. So there was no illegal contacts, pass interference, anything at all until that last possible time they could call it. And, like, yeah, it hurt to lose the Super Bowl. I'm sure it hurt for Patriots fans to lose the couple Super Bowls they lost to, even though they won like a gazillion of them. But the way we lost hurts more than the loss itself. And I think we talked about this a couple of weeks ago. I felt bad for myself. I felt sorry for myself for weeks after Super Bowl 39 because we had been through that Bucs Rondé Barber game and the stupid 14-3 Carolina game. But, like, I felt sorry for myself because we had been through so much to get there and we lost anyway. But maybe this is because we won one in 2017, but I actually feel worse this time for Jalen than I feel for myself because he put his heart and soul into that game, and he blamed himself for the loss. I've read this,
and which accounts. I mean, he did have that non-contact fumble that ended up being returned, but we still went into the half up 10 points regardless of that.
But that dude, and not only was he the reason we were there in the first place, but he was the reason we were competitive in that game. And despite the fumble, despite everything else, despite the punt return.
The punt return.
Despite everything else, Jalen Hurts was the reason we were there. And that's why I feel worse for him than I feel for myself for losing that game. Like, he deserved it more than we did. He deserved it more than anyone else on that team deserved it. And I hope that, I think he has the mentality where he knows that. And he's going to come back with a vengeance this year. And I think that. I hope that. But then at the same time, we have that doubt creep into our head. Where, like, we were positive we were going back in 05. And then T.O. was doing the sit-ups in the driveway. And Donovan was recovering from a bazillion injuries. And then that first fucking game, week 1, Jeremiah Trotter gets goaded into a fight and he gets kicked out. And we lose that game against the Falcons when we were sure we were going to beat them just like we did in the NFC Championship game the year before. And
that was the spear game, right?
Yeah. Week 1, 05. Donovan takes that spear to the chest and...
Not called, of course.
But yeah, how about that? Let's talk about that. Week 1 games.
Yeah, but before we do that, halftime. Halfway through this beer, halfway through this episode, what do you think?
I like it. Country Brewing does a lot of good stuff. And
I agree.
Fun story. Some of you listening may know. One of our 3 listeners may know that.
They're all here in this room.
Yeah. That I used to be on borough council in Royersford, and one of my favorite breweries, Evil Genius, was looking for a tasting room, and they had looked at a place in Royersford. We lobbied hard to get them, and it didn't work out. And then we tried to get one of my favorite Philadelphia radio personalities, Glenn Macnow, was one of the co-founders of Conshohocken Brewing, and we tried hard to get them to come to the place that Evil Genius was looking at, and they didn't do it. But I still have love for them.
They got good stuff.
They have great stuff. One of my favorite pumpkin beers.
Mm-hmm.
Yes, I am one of those basic bitches. Love a good pumpkin beer.
Gotta have at least one in the pumpkin season, which apparently runs from August to April now. Which, whatever.
I don't even care. I'll drink a pumpkin beer every day. But
a good pumpkin beer is. What do you think, Vinny? Do you like pumpkin beer?
Never had it.
Oh. Well, next episode we're gonna review on. Be here. But yeah, they're Nightmare on East Elm Street, whatever it's called. One of my favorite pumpkin beers. So yeah, Conshohocken Brewing has some great stuff, and they're one of my favorites. And local to our home county of Montco. So, all right, with that, we'll
second half.
Second half.
Let's see if we left off at memorable week 1 games.
Memorable week 1. This is where we'd be like, oh, if we had sponsors, we'd be like, oh, here's a little note from our sponsors. But
no, we have to have our
just
segues ourselves. All right, second half.
Week 1 games.
Week 1 games.
So, we think of week 1. What do you think? It's the first game comes to your mind. Week 1, Philadelphia Eagles.
2 weeks from now.
Okay. Second thing that comes to your mind. I know the first thing that comes to my mind.
Probably has to be Giants at Eagles.
2004.
2004, yeah.
Hell yes.
I'm going to defer to Rain Man here for the exact date. And
September 12th, 2004. Eagles at Giants. The regular season debut of Terrell, sorry, get the name right. Terrell Eldorado Owens. Number 81. 81 in your program is number 1 in our hearts. Terrell Owens. God.
What a pickup that was.
Oh. Do you remember that offseason?
The disaster of a trade for him initially.
Well, yeah. It goes back further than that.
Mm-hmm.
That game against San Francisco. Right before Christmas. Because, of course, they debuted their black jerseys. Because they want to do it before Christmas. Everyone goes out and buys them for Christmas presents. They play the 49ers. And Bobby Taylor, one of the great underrated Eagles of all time, Bobby the Blanket, Bobby Taylor, tackles T.O., breaks his collarbone. Later on in the game, T.O. comes out on the sideline in street clothes wearing a Sixers hat. And I remember you, our brother Eric, and me were all looking at each other like, it's got to be a sign. He's going to be a free agent. He's coming to the Philly, man. And in that Pro Bowl, the Eagles lose the NFC Championship game that year, of course. And Andy Reid's coaching the Pro Bowl that year. And T.O. and Donovan are following him up and down the sideline.
Mm-hmm.
The entire practice week, the entire game going, hey, bring me to Philly, bring me to Philly. And then the offseason finally hits. And disaster happens. He's not a free agent.
Mm-hmm.
We expected. He's not a free agent. Because some paperwork, clerical bullshit. And T.O. is not coming to Philly. I remember where I was. I was driving home from work. And in our mind, it was a done deal. T.O.'s an Eagle. T.O. is an Eagle. Driving home from work, I'm on 663, coming home from Quakertown. And I hear on the radio Howard Eskin, breaking news. Terrell Owens has been traded to the Baltimore Ravens. Oh, come on. And then he goes on about these receivers that we can get. Oh, we don't need T.O. We can get Justin McCarron. We can get Darrell Jackson. Like, yeah, those guys are good receivers, but they're not T.O. They're not the guy who can just, like, stiff arm a 6'2", 400-pound guy like he's a freaking kindergartner. like, and run for another 15 yards after the catch. Like, yeah, those are better than freaking Nate Brown and Torrance Small, but like, it's not T.O. And I remember going like, damn it, we're so close. We're so close. And I go to bed that night, mad, of course. Still think we're not getting T.O. I wake up the next morning and I'm listening to WIP my way to work, and they're like, well, there may have been a problem here. And so T.O.'s agent, who was not Drew Rosenhaus at the time, because, well, some Eagles may be represented by him now, so I'm not going to tell you what I think of the guy. But his agent at the time apparently had messed up some paperwork, or at least the 49ers had thought that he did, and he didn't. So T.O. and his agent are taking this to the NFL, and they're like, yeah, we filed that paperwork in time. I'm a free freaking agent. And the Niners knew it because remember they took it to the arbiter, and they're like, okay, well, maybe we can work something out. They did a 3-way trade with the Ravens and the Eagles and the Niners. And we sent Brandon Whiting, who was a solid defensive end, to the Eagles, or the Niners. I forget what Baltimore might have sent them. I don't remember. But we got T.O. It was March 17th, 2004, St. Patrick's Day. I remember waking up to a freaking party on the radio. We got T.O. Remember the old PSFS building with the crawl? We got T.O.
Yep.
And I remember the St. Patrick's Day party on WIP, and like Elmer Guinea going, yeah, we're celebrating. We got Terrell Owens, like the Irish guy. Man, we got him. We got our guy, Donovan and T.O. I remember that. We were going to training camp that season too.
Yeah.
And we had gone to Lehigh for training camp a few seasons before then, but nothing like that. We were sitting in traffic for like 3 hours just trying to get into the parking lot.
Do you remember, rewind to even before that? Do you remember that charity basketball game?
Oh, yes. The Brian Westbrook
that we tried to go to?
Yeah. That was a fun day. It was in the summer. I think it was like June or July.
Mm-hmm.
And Brian Westbrook, obviously, it was his charity game, so we hosted it. Trey Thomas was there. T.O. was there. Donnie Jones, Freddie Mitchell. Freddie.
Yeah, I got a picture with him.
Yeah, you did.
I have no idea where it is now, but
we have it anymore. Because this is when we still have the disposable cameras. But yeah, that was like a party. It was like June or July, whatever. Like weeks and weeks before training camp, even. But like,
it was still an epic turnout there. It
was electric. Like, this is our year.
It was just a bunch of guys playing basketball, just having fun, and it was great.
So like, even before training camp starts, like, to this day, I'm not sure we've ever had a more hype off season. Like T.O., like Donovan's gonna set records with this guy. We're gonna win multiple Super Bowls. So fast forward through training camp, and like the constant party it was, and
fast forward to that first preseason game against Baltimore of all teams.
First snap. 81 yards, of course, 81. 81 yards at Terrell Owens, touchdown. The link.
We were at that game.
Were we at that game?
We were.
Holy cow, I don't remember that.
I bought those tickets on eBay when you could still do that.
Yeah, remember those days?
Yep.
Oh, wow.
We were at that game.
Wow.
I bought them for like
I've seen that replay.
$28 each or something stupid like that.
I've seen that replay so many times on TV that I just must have completely, or YouTube these days, completely forgot we were there. But like, oh my God, like, we've been to playoff games to the link. We've been to NFC Championship games to the link. Like, that one play that bombed the T.O.
And it was preseason. And it felt like we just won something so significant.
Yeah, we reacted like, well, if you remember that NFC Championship game against Carolina, like this scrub corner, Ricky Manning Jr., just manhandling James Thrash and Todd Pinkston, who, by the way, I think Pinkston gets a bad rap because of that one play we'll get to later. But yeah, just that year after those turnovers and Donovan getting hurt, and like we going to that Carolina game, we were winning.
Hang on.
Our receivers getting manhandled in that NFC Championship game, and then to be going in that offseason thinking like we missed our chance at TO, and we get him, and the hype that offseason before we even get to training camp is insane. So when he threw that bomb up to TO,
like it was nothing.
Yeah, when's the last time you saw that? Randall Cunningham and Fred Barnett or Jaworski and Carmichael. Like we haven't had a receiver like that could just manhandle deep defensive backs
and just beat their 1-on-1 like it was nothing.
And that bomb, we couldn't, Donda couldn't complete passes like that because the receivers were just weak and couldn't do it. But that one, it was a preseason game, but we already knew. We already had that swagger. We already knew we were getting there.
Mm-hmm.
And then fast forward to week 1. One of the greatest week 1 performances I've ever seen from any team, let alone the Eagles. And the funny thing is, remember T.O., he was new to the town, so he wasn't used to the traffic. He gets stuck in traffic on I-95 coming from Jersey, and he has to get a police escort. Almost didn't make it to the game on time. And then,
I forgot about that.
Yeah. And then that performance, that show him and Donovan McNabb put on that day, God, I've never seen anything like it since.
Mm-hmm.
All the great plays we've seen from all the great quarterbacks, Michael Vick, Jalen Hurts, there wasn't anything, I don't think, at least I can't, not that I can remember, that matches the hype of that week 1 game in 2004. That one game where Michael Strahan just beats the hell out of John Runyon. It's in Donovan's face, and Donovan's rolling out to the right, and he's got maybe an inch of sideline left. And just throws with his right hand across his body, gets that ball, and T.O. dives for it for his 3rd touchdown of the game. Didn't even put up 100 yards in that game. Still had 3 touchdowns. Just one of the most dominant performances, one of the most hype week 1 games I can remember.
Yeah.
20. So I feel old.
Yeah.
It'll be 20 years ago next season, and I still remember it like it was yesterday. God, what a game!
That was a big week 1.
Well, now we start off with that one. It's gonna be hard to find one.
Yeah, it's hard to top, right?
We get the pickle juice game in 2000. Deuce Staley just running for 10,000 yards.
Yeah, where it was 112
in
degrees
Dallas.
on the game field there.
Yeah, it was it wasn't even a grass field, I don't think. So it was that plastic field where they were playing on was just pushing the heat up like it was.
Yeah.
And then Deuce just running through the Cowboys defense like it was nothing. David Akers with the onside kick to start the game.
Yeah. Let's see what else.
That was when, because it was the first real season that Andy had with his own players, his own philosophy beat into the team. That 99 season was, it only won 5 games, but you could tell some of them was different. But that week 1 game against Dallas in 2000, that was holy hell. Andy might be the dude. And he was for a long time. What else we got?
I feel like because we're coming into week 1, we can't forget the first game at the Link.
Oh.
The previous season.
God.
Against the Bucks.
Do we have to? You know what? I do this thing every season. I have this idea in my head where we got to do some fan confessions here. Exercise the demons of the past. Get that all the negativity out before the season starts.
I agree.
And you know what? This is a good way to talk about it. Week 1, first game at the Link, something like September 7th, 2002, or whatever it was. Go ahead, man.
Yeah, we'll research it.
Rocky, they have a Sylvester Stallone in the 22 jersey on the Eagles Nest thing. All the hype coming in. We weren't playing that dump the vet anymore.
Yeah.
Coming in that game, no way Tampa's beating us again, right? No way. We got this. We're gonna start off, beat that team that broke our hearts. 9 months before?
September 8th.
September 8th, 2002. Oh, God, what a game.
What a nightmare that game was.
I wish it was a nightmare. It was real, though.
Lost the last game at the vet. and the first at the link.
Same team.
Couldn't even score a point, right?
No, David Akers hit.
Did he?
Oh, no, they didn't. You're right.
I was going to say.
17-0 was the final.
Yep. Fact, right there.
I remember, I think they had gone for, they had a pretty good first possession, if I remember
Our
correctly.
friend L.J. Smith, right? His rookie season that year, right?
If I remember correctly, they had a pretty good drive, but got stopped on 4th and goal. And Andy dialed up a fake field goal, and I think it was Coy Detmer. Was he still on the team then? He took the snap, got up for the fake, and then threw it to L.J. Smith, and I think it just might have bounced off his hands. It should have been a catch.
So, yeah, in the end zone, right?
You know who made that catch? The same guy who was in that draft, taken a couple of rounds later, Jason Witten.
Mm-hmm.
While we're on the subject of shitty Week 1 games, I got another one for you. Week 1, 2005, Eagles at Falcons. We just beat this team in the NFC Championship game the week before.
The year before,
sorry. Write that down. We'll cut it out. I'll start over.
55 to. I'm gonna add.
This is good.
Because 14, I put that in there because that's when we weren't 100% sure that it was a fake field goal. So we're gonna.
I think it was.
I remember he dropped it in the end zone.
Yeah.
I don't remember what the play was, but
while we're on the subject of bad Week 1 games, the first one that comes to mind after that one is Week 1, 2005, Eagles at Falcons. Before the game even starts, it sucks. If you remember this.
Yep.
Some scrub on Falcons special teams picks a fight with Jeremiah Trotter, the most important person not named Brian Dawkins on that secondary, on that defense. Picks a fight with him, and they both get ejected. Like, you eject a hard middle linebacker and some scrub on their special teams unit, and you think that's an equal punishment? Like, come on, bro. Before the game even starts, it's a shit show. And then it starts, and then Donovan takes that spear from, what the hell's that dude's name? Jonathan Babineau. I think he's a rookie. I don't even think he made a notable play before or since then. And they lose that game to Michael Vick, who we'd owned in the NFC Championship game the season before. And that just set the tone for that season. What a horrible, horrible season 2005 was.
Yeah.
Like, I think our first game to Link that you and I went to was that year. Do you remember the game?
Was that the Seattle game?
The Seattle game. December.
Monday Night Football, right?
Monday Night Football, December 5th, 2005. The night that they retired Reggie White's number.
Mm-hmm.
Where Reggie's family came and at halftime and they did a little ceremony and unveiled the banner. And it was cold that night. Mm-hmm. And you remember you wore that game?
I do remember. The jersey with just a Under Armour cold gear underneath.
And this dude was about to die. I can't believe he didn't freeze to death that night, but we still somehow we sat in like the last row in the end zone seats at the Link, and we watched that entire horrible game with Sean Alexander, the future MVP of the league that year, ran all over the team, and God, what an awful year! Like that season, Brian Dawkins was on IR. Like I think there was 11 starters by the end of the year on offense and defense, like combined on IR, and not just like random players. There wasn't like your Rod Hoods that were like, no, it was Brian Dawkins, it was Brian Westbrook, it was Donovan McNabb, it was T.O. was suspended later that year.
Mm-hmm.
Like every notable player on that team that would have been like critical to doing something that year they got injured.
Mm-hmm.
And 6, another memorable one, at least for me. Because I had just come home from Paris Island.
Mm-hmm.
And week 1, I graduated boot camp on September 8th, 2006. And September 10th, 2006 was week 1. Eagles at Texans.
It's that country lager.
Eagles at Texans. Should we write that down?
No.
Just leave it in.
It's birds and beers.
Leave it. Birds
burps
and beers.
and all.
Let's leave it in. Burps and beers.
Birds, burps, and beers.
Leave it in. Leave it in. You know what? So week 1, 2006. I had just come home from boot camp. September 8th, 2006. September 10th, 2006 was week 1. Eagles at Texans. Donovan threw that bomb to Dante Stallworth. Like, hell yeah, man, we're back.
Forgot about that guy.
Yeah, Dante Stallworth.
He was supposed to be our number 1.
He had
somehow.
He was a good receiver, especially on that Saints team with Aaron Brooks as the quarterback and birds and beers. And he got traded to the Eagles. He was a good player for us for that year. Him and Donovan had a pretty good rapport, and he made some big plays. And even after Donovan got hurt, and Jeff Garcia, I remember this game I watched out in California on a station there with a bunch of freaking Panthers fans. I didn't even know they existed until then. It was Monday night. We were at the barracks at 29 Palms, the armpit of California, and all 7 Panthers fans that existed at the time showed up in my barracks to watch this freaking game. And Dante Stallworth made this huge, great catch down the sideline from Jeff Garcia, and it's a back and forth game, and until the end. The end was great because I hate Keyshawn Johnson to this day so much. I hate that guy. Lito Shepherd, one of my favorite Eagles players of all time, made this interception on a fade route to end the game, and I remember Keyshawn just throwing this fit, and me just going, yeah! All his Panthers fans, all 17 of them that existed at the time, in my barracks room. Somehow, I didn't even know them. Certainly didn't invite them. Talk shit the whole game. But boy, did it feel good when Lito came down with that pick and Keyshawn just losing his mind. But, since we're talking about week 1 games, for the next year, Eagles at Packers.
I'm old. You're jogging my memory here.
I'm older than you, and I.
Oh, was that the Greg Lewis punt return game?
The Greg Lewis punt return game. Oh, God.
That was rewind to the first half when we were talking about the Andy Reid blunders. Many of them.
Does he have a lot?
That was one of them.
Andy
going
Reid.
into the season without. Greg Lewis has done it before. He's done okay in practice. He'll be fine.
Keep up.
Narrator. He wasn't fine.
God. I remember that one. I think there was more than one where he fumbled. I think they put him on kick returns too, which he had never done. And I think we lost 2 possessions because of special teams that day. It was enough where Andy had picked up for the week 1 or week 2, I think it was, home opener. Reno Mahe had been like a host at Chickies and Pete's. If you remember that.
Yeah.
And Andy was like, "Nah, bro, you gotta quit that job because we need a punt returner." I remember us being at that home opener, and the first time the Washington football team, formerly known as the Slurs, punted, Reno caught the ball. It was a fair catch at like the 2-yard line or something stupid like that. But of course, the Philly cheer, yeah, we didn't fumble. That was an awful game too. But God, week 1, the Packers game was one of the most frustrating. Like, of course, they barely. I think the score was like within like 3 to 5 points. And I remember Brett Favre, who is of Mississippi fraud fame, Brett Favre, ran off the field like he just won the Super Bowl, even though he only won the game because the Eagles didn't think it was important to have a punt returner. Fuck you, Brett Favre. You know what, Brett Favre? If you're listening to this, which I'm sure you're not, because who the fuck are we? Brett Favre, you may have played in the NFL for like 142 seasons, but how many games did you win in Philadelphia? I'll tell you, 0. Anyway, week 1 games.
Week 1.
That was 2007, 2008. Ooh, that was a good one, too. The Deshaun Jackson game.
Oh,
Week 1
God.
against the Rams. I'm sorry.
Yes.
I'm sorry to. I think his name is Will Ty. Was he the corner? Something like that. Something Ty Law. Not Ty Law. He was actually good.
Tie dye.
Thai food.
Oh, delicious.
Ty something. Ty can't cover is what his name should
Pad
be.
Thai.
Deshaun Jackson was drafted in the 2nd round that year, but like we thought he'd be like a good, solid like 3rd, 4th, 5th receiver. But he was a great punt returner. But Andy, who never wanted to start rookies, had to because Reggie Brown was injured, Kevin Curtis was injured, so Deshaun Jackson was the only receiver left to start, except for whoever the hell else they had that year. Jason Avant, I guess. I don't know. It was awesome. But I remember Donovan just chucking balls to Deshaun Jackson, destroying that corner all day. And that was the birth to Deshaun Jackson as an Eagle. Like he was like, that's my welcome to the NFL moment. Like, usually when players have a welcome to the NFL moment, it does not end up well for them. But
I do want to interject here because our friend Vinny here brought up a good point, and I need to go on record with this, and I need you to. You've traveled the world. You have.
I have.
You can deny it all you want, but you have.
Denying.
Pad Thai. Bell peppers do not belong in Pad Thai. Right or wrong? Can we settle this once and for all?
you would know more than we would.
I like everything spicy, so.
But bell peppers aren't spicy.
No, they're not. I don't
But
put them in pad thai.
all the
Thai bitches don't put them in pad thai.
right, all the American
Ooh.
restaurants here, American restaurants, when they have pad thai on the menu, it's got bell peppers, and it doesn't belong. I just want to come on record and say that.
You have to put a good Thai pepper in, like a jalapeno, and
Thai chili.
that was a joke.
So I got the dude's name. His name is Ty Hill.
Thai Hill,
He went to Clemson.
the
He was,
original Thai Hill.
This dude, actually, I didn't know this until just now. I'm looking at his Wikipedia page. Ty Hill was a 2006 first-round pick, 15th overall. Deshaun Jackson just ate his lunch that day. And that was the emergence of Deshaun Jackson as an Eagle legend.
He ate his pad thai that day.
He made pad thai out of Ty Hill. Oh, man. I'm sorry, everybody.
We're awesome.
We are awesome. You should keep listening. It'll get better. Somehow. Okay, so that's 2008, 2009. You weren't there, because I think you had flown somewhere.
Probably.
It was Eagles at Carolina.
Oh, yeah, I was not home for that game.
But I remember it was the second game in like 4 years we played Carolina and just destroyed Jake Delhomme. Just made him see like triple vision. I remember he threw like 1 million interceptions that game. And then it brings us to 2010.
Are we talking about all of them or just the memorable ones?
I'm just spitballing here because every time I think of one, I think of another one.
Rain Man.
Rain Man.
The Philadelphia Rain Man.
Gotta fly Qantas.
172 cheesesteaks. Gotta be 172.
Oh my god, I'd be so fat. I'd be fatter than I already am.
Week 1, 2010.
One cheesesteak.
It was the Kelly Green. The last time the Eagles wore Kelly Green. It was to honor the 50th anniversary of the 1960 team, because only the Eagles of that era would have celebrated not winning shit in 50 years. So they wore the Kelly Green throwbacks, and that's when Kevin Cobb got his bell rang, and Michael Vick came in.
Right.
Michael Vick came in and almost won the game for us, but we fell just short. I remember Nate Allen picking off Aaron Rodgers twice, and Michael Vick just owning that game. I remember that he almost won it.
Yeah.
But he relied too much on. I think he overthought himself that day, and was like, I remember him having Deshaun Jackson somewhat open in the end zone, but I remember him having a pretty clear path for, like, not your average quarterback, but Michael Vick, yeah, like totally could have taken that ball into the end zone for the game winner, or game tying, because I think he won 27, lost 27-20, but that was the emergence of Michael Vick as an Eagle, and he gave us a couple great seasons, and I hated him when he was in Atlanta because, you know, he was just so ridiculous, but
This is so ridiculous. Because
man, he was a good Eagle, though. Yeah, he was awesome. If he had
because
Andy
what did you
Reid,
say the score was?
27-20.
This fucking guy.
Is that what it was?
Yes, it was exactly what it was.
27-20. Week 1, 2010. And I think...
What was the date? Do you remember?
Oh, God. September... I'm going to say 10th.
It's 12.
Oh! Almost there. Oh, so good. Kind of.
All right, Dustin.
I can't remember anything important. I can't remember where I left my keys, but... Any Eagles game from now to, like, 84 BC, I got you. You want to know how many freaking touchdowns Tommy McDonald scored in the 1960 NFL Championship? I got you. There's one. But, okay, we're just going to go chronological because I'm here. I'm just on a roll here. I'm going to go with 2011. I was at the rifle range with the Marines, and we had the safety vehicle for the corpsman, which is just like a Ford Windstar, whatever the fuck.
A minivan.
Yeah, it was like a minivan or a club wagon, one of those bullshit things.
It was the TS 74.
Yeah, we would have made up some bullshit serial number for it, but they were playing. I was a radio operator in the Marine Corps.
I guess it would have been the TV, the tactical van.
Tactical van. Yeah. Maybe in a later episode we'll explain the tactical bullshit that we come up with. We'll do that in the Marine Corps birthday episode because it's the Eagles bye week.
Yeah, stay tuned if you're not bored out of your mind yet.
Oh, yeah, you know, if you're
With Rain Man over here spouting off stats.
Oh, I got you. Week 1, we were at the rifle range. It was the last time I ever fired a rifle in the Marines.
Pussy Eats America. Oh, with the Marines, never mind.
At the Marines? Yeah, I fired some rifles at the Marines. It did not end well for me.
Who got fired?
I'm actually dead right now. The corpsmen were playing the game. I think they were playing St. Louis at St. Louis.
When it was still St. Louis.
Yeah, when it was St.
That's
Louis.
how old we are.
Yeah.
Other podcasters out there being like, yeah, the LA Rams, you know. Hell yeah. No, we're talking about St. Louis Rams here because we're old.
So I was a radio operator. I was pretty good with electronics back then. Of course, I didn't do anything with it until now, but we could barely hear the corpsmen had their radio up. Like, obviously, we're firing on rifles and stuff, so we couldn't hear everything. So we wired the radio in their truck to a radio, like you would call in like fire, from that to the speakers on the range where like the safety brief would. We had Merrill Reese calling the game over those speakers. We heard the Eagles beat the hell out of the St. Louis back then Rams over the rifle range speakers, and that was a fun memory. I don't remember exactly how we did it because it was like a million years ago, but
I can remember Eagle stats from 84 BC. I can't remember how we wired a radio 15 years ago.
It was a long time ago, okay? But if we're going to keep going, I can tell you 2012, too.
Now, let's stick to the memorable ones because we're at 33 minutes and this is the second half. I don't want to have to filter through a whole bunch of nonsense. Let's go back to the memorable week ones. I was thinking memorable week ones of 2017.
I was going to go before that when we thought Charles Kelly, and yes, he's Charles Kelly. He was not Chip Kelly because he doesn't deserve to be Chip. He's Charles. When he had the Washington Sluggers gasping for air on that first week 1 game, Michael Vick just ran that offense to perfection. Turns out Charles Kelly, wasn't so good once he didn't have Chip Kelly, Chip Kelly, Jesus Christ.
Yeah, we're just gonna not remember this part at all. We're just gonna.
Yeah. Turns out Charles Kelly wasn't so good when he didn't have Michael Vick. But
We're just gonna throw the whole thing away.
no, we're not. This is fun. But yes, go
was
back.
Was that game you were at? No, that wasn't week 1.
No, that was the Monday night.
That was when
Massacre.
Vinny and I watched that at the Firehouse Bar.
Mm-hmm. Monday night, November. Look this one up. Guarantee you got the date right. November 16th, 2010. Monday Night Football. Eagles at the football team. That god awful dump they call a stadium. Michael Vick is just playing Madden. He probably had like 1,700 fantasy points that day. 4 passing touchdowns, 2 rushing touchdowns. Donovan McNabb's second game against the Eagles.
What did you say it was?
November 16th, 2010.
Rain Man failed.
Oh no, did I? What was it?
November 15th.
Oh, stop it. I was in the ballpark. If it was blackjack, I'd have been right.
What was the score?
59-28. Yes!
59-28. This fucking guy. This could be a show in itself.
Yeah.
Just quizzing Matt with random stats.
Try to get me on.
How many matches are on the floor now?
142 matches. Definitely 142.
You know how like big brands have like sub brands that they sell? Well, our podcast could have a sub brand of just me quizzing you on random stupid shit and you getting it right 99% of the time. That would be entertaining.
If it's Eagles and stuff, I got you, man.
Not even that. Fucking Phillies,
Hit me.
Flyers.
Ask me a question.
Not on this.
Sit
Not on.